Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Clear Tonic, and today we're going to talk about SaGa, Scarlet, Grace, and sparking new techniques. So, I've been recently speedrunning this game, and I've been trying to understand more about the mechanics of how some things work in this game. And sparking new techniques is a pretty big thing, and it's pretty common in SaGa games to not understand how the sparking formula works. So, fortunately, this game runs on the Unity engine, which means that it's very easy to hook in and be able to understand what the code is doing behind the calculations of probabilities and like how things are tracked. So the aim of this video is to talk about the whole mechanics about how it all works. So first off, I've written a document about this, so you can check it out in the description, the links below. There's both a kind of a write-up about what the sparking formula looks like and how it all kind of comes together. And then also there's a data sheet that has a lot of the internal game tables, so that if you wanted to look up information about a specific thing, it's all there. So what I'm going to do now is kind of go through the game itself and show you the way that the engine kind of works when it comes to the spark formula and some of the internal metrics that are used to calculate it. I have been able to, with the help of a Reddit user who I'll put in the link below. He's been very helpful for helping me get set up with this. I've been able to use a in-game heads-up display hook to be able to pull up information about the characters and internal values that are being tracked. And again, all of this is written in that document below, but this video is a visual supplement to that, just so you can kind of see and feel what's going on. So I think with that, I'm going to load up a battle and show you a few things. But first, why don't we just take a look in our party. I'm going to take a look at our retinue. This is the beginning of a Leonard file, so we haven't gotten into any battles yet. So everybody's quote-unquote inspiration is going to be set to 0 for all weapon techs. I think showing this when we're in battle and showing the internal values with the script that we have, it will help a lot just to understand like how the engine works. So with that, why don't we just go into a battle, and I'm going to pull up this heads-up display, and I'm also going to pull up a script that I created to show the internal calculations as they go along. So with that, why don't we jump into battle. So fortunately, with the script that, again, this user helped me create, or he created it and I just modified it, what we can do is bring up the battle rank, which is kind of a whole nother can of worms, but effectively we just started the game, so we're at battle rank 1. And then if we go to this, we have this big menu now. So what you're looking at is, I know it might be a little hard to see, but what you're looking at is that for all of our characters, so Leonard, Elizabeth, Jerome, Cecilia, and Gabriel, they all have 0 inspiration for all techniques. And what that means is that every character for every weapon has an internal calculation for sparking a new ability, again based on the character and the weapon, and each one of those weapons per character has internal tracking values. So to assess what's going on here, Leonard has no inspiration for all weapons, right? But his next inspiration for the weapon that he has equipped right now, which is a greatsword, is 100. So again, you'll have to refer to the document below for exactly what that means, but the general idea is that he, if you look at this, he over here has smash, and you can see it, smash and downswing learned, meaning that he has 1 base tech smash, and he has learned sparked 1 tech. The game gives you downswing as a start, so that means that his next inspiration has a value of 100 in order for it to start to proc, so, or get close to proccing a spark. So it means that as he uses greatsword actions, he's going to accumulate a value towards that. And basically 100 means it's an internal value. Again, all of this is not available to the player, that's why we have the script up. The idea is that as he takes actions with Greatsword, he'll get closer and closer to that 100, and then eventually he'll spark. There's a whole calculation which we can talk about in a second, but I think just showing the flow of how these values update can help the player understand like how things go along. So I brought Leonard up as the first example. He had 1 tech learn, which was downswing, so that means his next inspiration is 100 value. We'll talk about what the value means in a minute. All the other characters two of the other characters, Jerome and Cecilia, also are at 100, meaning that they too have 1 ability learned. So Cecilia has Shadow Weave and Jerome has Thunder Kick learned. And then we would look at Elizabeth. She doesn't have any abilities learned, right? So that's why her ability, again, sorry, I know it's a little hard to see here, is 40, right? So if we look at Elizabeth, she's at level 1, next inspiration is 40. And that's because with the weapon that she has equipped, she has no other tech learns. So it means, effectively what it means is that it's easier for Elizabeth to learn a new ability because she doesn't have other abilities yet for that weapon compared to the other characters here. So let's look at Gabriel, right? Gabriel has 2 techs learned on top of his base tech Smash. So you can see here that his value is 400. So it's going to take him even longer to get a new ability. So with all that being said, let's just take a few actions in battle and we'll show you just how these all update. This again is based on, a lot of these are based on formulas, so they'll all update according to the formula, but I'm going to queue an action. So what you'll notice now is that a bunch of these values are going to update. So watch, so I used Leonard, Cecilia, and Lissa. You're going to see Leonard's Greatsword ability go up. You'll see Cecilia's bow go up, and you'll see Alyssa's hammer go up because she has the frying pan on. So, right, so I just confirmed the action. You can already see that it updated, right? Greatsword 6, then bow 6, and then Lissa has Alyssa didn't take an action because she got paralyzed, so nothing updated for her. So point is that those 2 characters were able to get their action and they were able to increase their value, right? So what this means is that as you go along in battle, you're going to continually take actions and get closer and closer to that threshold, right? So for Lissa, she just needs to keep taking a few actions and she'll eventually get there, closer than the other characters, right? Cecilia, Leonard, they're going to take longer because their value is set to 100 because they had some text learned. So this is the general idea. The less text you have, the more actions you take in battle, the easier it is it'll get to spark a new ability. So let's just keep going along. We're going to try to extend this fight with just, well, it would be nice to use Lissa here, but why don't we try to get her unparalyzed? We might just wait it out a bit. And if this doesn't work, we can reload. Not quite. Still stunned. It's all good. I have a problem with this script where I can only load 1 panel at a time. So let's see if I can get her to unparalyze. Okay, good. So let's just use her for a little bit and see if we can survive. Hopefully. You just have to flex, so I can use this. But the idea is that we're going to just watch Lissa's value. So her hammer value went to 5, right? And we're going to just try to have her only use actions for a bit. Actually, I might use Leonard here just to try to get closer defeating one of these. But again, I just used another ability. So Hammer's at 10 with Lissa. It's just going to kind of keep going up and increasing. And the idea is that once it gets close enough, it'll eventually spark a new tech, right? That's intuitive. That's kind of the way that anybody who's played SaGa before would understand it. But we should see that eventually, if we get far enough, that Lissa is going to eventually spark a new tech.
You alright?
So let's go here. So again, keep watching Lissa's value of hammer 15. Right, perfect. So, if you noticed, a bunch of things happened. One, it cleared out to 0. She sparks here.
I'm cute
And
strong.
her next inspiration is now updated to 100. I'm actually really glad that happened there. So, all of those things just happened, right? So let's talk about it. Hammer, her inspiration for Hammer is now back at 0. She sparked a new tech, and her next inspiration is now 100. This is all, it's written in the document, but it's all according to plan, right? She learned another tech, meaning that for the weapon that she has equipped, she's going to go further and further along. And it doesn't mean that she's reset all progress, right? Like, she learned a new tech. The point is that she's starting over again because the game isn't going to reward you, the player, another tech right away after learning another one. You have to kind of build up this internal meter. There's a few considerations with this. I think it's probably a good time to talk about it now. You have to have at least 30% of the inspiration for the next ability in order to have even a chance to learn it. So if you don't, then you won't even attempt to proc it. In that case, she had 15 and then used an action and was able to proc because she had a minimum of 30%, which she was trying to get to 40, minimum of 12, and then she had 15, so she took an action and was able to roll it past that. That being said, the formula, it's again written in this document, but it's generally based on the party level of the enemy, party level of the character, and the distance away from the next level. So in her case, she was about 15. She would have taken an action, put her around like 20. The party level is probably 1 and she's 1, so those probably negate out. But generally, the idea is that was probably about a 50% roll for part 1 of the formula. Second part of the formula says that for the type of weapon that she has and whether or not she's learned anything off of that weapon before, she'll go through another calculation roll to try to learn that ability. So, a few other things here. If you look at all of these inspiration points per the weapon type, they're all very independent of each other. When you're in battle, that next inspiration value here updates based on the weapon that you have, meaning that they're completely isolated, so any inspiration that you get for one weapon type is completely unrelated to another weapon type. So don't get them confused. Don't think that if you start using spear a lot and then switch over to bow, like, you won't be able to learn text quickly, because that's not the way it works. It's very much isolated. So I think with that's like a general overview. The idea is you want to build up text. You want to have a general understanding that as you get more text per weapon, that it's going to get harder and harder to learn. Some other parts of the formula are that the further along you are into the game, meaning that the battle rank is up, it's going to get easier and easier to get new text because the game will reward you with more inspiration per weapon. So those are pretty important considerations. Something that is very helpful for a speedrunning perspective is that sometimes you want to learn a new ability, but you need it to be a specific ability. So what you'll do is make sure that the character tries to get inspiration up without triggering a spark. And you can do that in a number of ways. The most easy to understand way is that on the very last attack of a battle, when you defeat the final enemy, you can get inspiration for that attack, but because all the enemies are defeated afterwards, the game won't attempt to try to give you a new spark. So you can just get that inspiration value up and have it so that you have the best chance of when you want to learn a tech, which is very important for the final boss for speedrunning perspective, for trying to get dimensional cut on the final form. So that's a general overview. I would say that the document spells this out pretty clearly, but I mostly wanted to make this video just to show you kind of like how the internal values update, because these are all tracked. It's unfortunate that it's like completely not transparent to the player whatsoever, but it is very much a thing. And yeah, again, check out the links below, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on either Twitter or Twitch. I'm usually around. And thanks for watching.